Hey, fifth grade. Today we are working with our mentor sentences again. We're starting a new week of this, and so we'll be completing the Monday musing activity. I'm going to read the mentor sentence aloud, and then we'll talk about the things that I want you to be paying attention to. So let's get started. He was glad for one thing. The rope was off his neck. That had given them an unfair advantage, but now that it was off, he would show them. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Just make a list in this text box of all the things that you notice about our mentor sentence. Remember that it's already grammatically and conventionally correct. So don't say, I noticed that the capitalization was correct, because that's an obvious thing. It's why we're using it as a role model, because it is correct. However, these are some things that you can pay attention to and look at. So look at what type of sentence it is. Is it simple, compound, complex, or compound complex? By the way, there are reference pages attached to this assignment that will help you with this. See if there's anything you notice about the parts of speech, maybe the nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, etc. Like if they're really good or if they're really vivid, then make a note of that. Sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. If there are any unusual punctuation marks that you're not used to seeing or not something that you use on a daily basis, you might make note of that. Or if they're using punctuation in a strange way that you haven't seen before, maybe it's a punctuation mark that you're familiar with, but you've never seen it used that way, that would be something that you might notice about a sentence. The next thing you'll look for is, does it have figurative language? Some sentences do. As you know, last week our sentence had hyperbole in it. This one may or may not have figurative language, and if it does, it may not be hyperbole. So look over these things and check to see if the sentence contains any of that. Again, there are reference pages to help you with this. I do not expect you to have it memorized, but hopefully as we work through this, you will have a better working memory of them. The next thing you'll do is look for root words and affixes. Then you'll pay attention to capitalization. Next, you'll look at are there any homophones, homonyms, homographs, heterographs, heteronyms, synonyms, or antonyms. Again, reference pages would be super handy for this task. And then the last thing is something that you should be able to do with every single sentence that we look at. Pay attention to the author's word choice and their craft. This would also be a good place to analyze the sentence for point of view, because you know that they come from example texts, so novels. So you could identify what POV the author's using for the narrator, and then you could also analyze who is the narrator or whose thoughts you're getting there. Word choice, if you'll remember in last week's Monday musings, we noticed that it was very simple language, and the character that was doing the narration was someone who didn't feel smart. And so it made sense that we would see simple language if he was the one talking. And so that was something that the author did on purpose to develop the character. So anything of that nature that you would notice about a sentence, I want you to make note of that also. So we're going to jump back here to the slide where you're actually going to do your work. In a minute, I'm going to have you pause this video, go back into that mentor sentence, make a list of everything that you noticed, and then you're going to come back and play the rest of this video. And I'll share with you what I shared with our classes today through discussion and kind of how we came together. You can't get that two-way communication when you're just watching video lessons and you're learning from home, but this is the best way I know how to expose you to what we discussed in class. So go ahead and push pause now, and I'll see you back here in a few minutes. All right, so we're back, and the first thing that we talked about in class was the types of sentences that we saw. If you remember from the reference page, You know that a compound sentence is one that contains either more than one subject or more than one predicate or both. And in this case, in both sentences, that did happen. So if you look at, he was glad for one thing, the rope was off his neck. He is our subject in that sentence, and so it's our actor, it's our subject, and then the predicate or the action of the actor is that he's glad for something. Okay, and then we have another subject, the rope, and the rope is the thing that is, I guess, receiving the action or completing the action. So the rope is the subject, and then the fact that it's off his neck is the action. And so we have a compound sentence because we have two subjects and we have two predicates, or a compound predicate. Then we also have sentence 2, where it talks about that had given them an unfair advantage, but now it was off, he would show them. Okay, we have two subjects. We have him and they, and then we also have our predicate. I think it's just singular. He's going to show them. So it's compound as well because we had two subjects. Most of the students in the classes noticed the use of a colon and a semicolon, and they weren't certain about the rules for these, but they knew that it was not something that they used all the time. And so that's actually what our Teaching Tuesday will revolve around, is when to use a colon and when to use a semicolon. So we made a note of that. Pronouns are used to name the subjects, no proper nouns. So we don't see any names, we just see the pronouns here. We also see that right here being used as both a pronoun and a conjunction. So this is, in this sense, it's used as a pronoun, and here it's used as a conjunction. Conjunction connects words, if you'll remember, or phrases or clauses. And so this is connecting now and it was, or it was off. So same word, but being used in two different ways in this sentence. So we talked about that. And then in all of my classes, we talked about how this sentence was written in third person limited point of view, and the thoughts and feelings that we're getting could be that of a dog. And they were just telling me that they thought that because they thought that the rope around his neck was probably a collar attached to a leash or something that was similar to that in nature. And then they also thought that it was a dog because some of them had some working knowledge of the book Call of the Wild or the movie. So, all right, guys, that sums it up for our Monday musings. If you need to go back and add some of these notes to your notes, please do so. That's what we did in class. And I will see you back here, hopefully in school very soon. And if not, we'll be here for Teaching Tuesday. Love and miss you guys. Let me know if you have any questions or need my help.